Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be our second official MagFinder introduction webinar. My name is Josh Gary with Magnet. Most of you I probably know. The folks that I don't know just yet, welcome and pleasure to meet you. Today we're going to be spending a little bit of time just talking about the MagFinder application that Magnet developed and put out to the public starting approximately in May, I believe, and just kind of go through the main benefits of the tool so that everybody has an opportunity to understand the value and decide if there's a fit for your use in your organization. So let me just kind of jump right into it. I'm going to bring up the MagFinder screen and make sure everybody can see my screen. So this is the home page for MagFinder. You can get to MagFinder from a variety of different places. You can get to it from the Magnet website. It has its own link, and there's a variety of other sites throughout the web where you can click on the link and get to MagFinder. It's the #1 search result. If you go to Google and type in MagFinder, it's now the #1 result that you get back on the Google side, so it's pretty easy to find. And the good news about that is we didn't even have to pay Google any AdWords money to make that happen, which we're pretty proud of. So the main concept behind MagFinder is we wanted to create a tool that was very friendly for customers, specifically for consumers who were trying to find our magazines but may not necessarily know where to go to find a magazine at newsstand. It's an age-old problem that's existed in our business for such a long time, and the information flow has always been kind of slow. Magnet is in a sort of a unique position to be collecting almost all of the newsstand allocation and sales information, so we thought it was a sort of a good opportunity for us to provide a service to the industry. MagFinder, as we sit here today, is 100% free. It's really a tool that's meant to be for publishers. I have gotten some usage out of other retailers and things like that, which I can talk about, but basically the tool is meant for publishers to provide a service to your customers. The purpose is I'm going to be putting news magazines out onto newsstand. Magnet is in a position to know where they're going to be located right as they hit the streets, and we want customers to always be encouraged to go find our magazines on newsstand. It still can be a very, very profitable channel for people, so we want to make sure that there's easy access to the information customers need to be able to find our magazines and pick them up. So what we did was we built MagFinder. MagFinder uses all of the draw allocation information that the Magnet collects, and we put it into the system. We tag it up against the covers that we are also receiving from approximately 3,500 or 4,000 different magazines a month. We receive the magazines here in our office. They're scanned manually, one title at a time. They're classified, tagged, thrown in the system, and then when the magazine is going to come on sale a week before the on-sale date, we drop it into MagFinder so that when you do want to go look for that magazine, you know that you can go into MagFinder based on your GPS location or based on a zip code or postal code. Anybody can go in and find where their favorite magazine is located. You can also do searches that are driven by your location or by a particular title or a category, and we're going to go through those basic usages very quickly. I also want to make sure everybody understands this is a mobile-first application, and what that means is we meant for this tool for MagFinder to be used on a mobile phone just as much as it's used on the web. So we actually have versions of MagFinder that work on your cell phone and have the same functionality that you would expect to see from any other traditionally installed application. And I'm going to give you an example, and we're going to talk about that. So if you look up at my screen, hopefully you'll be able to see my cell phone screen in just a second. And what you can see now that my cell phone is displaying is you can actually see on the bottom right-hand corner we have a MagFinder link. And when you click on the MagFinder link on our phone, it brings up a MagFinder homepage. And it's very responsive. It's very, very fast. And it's meant to be used in store just as much as it's meant to be used at home or anywhere else where your customers might be. There's a variety of usage cases that we have for using it on the mobile phone. Obviously, we want to hit people at a time where we know there might be shopping. So as we start to get more traction with MagFinder and we can start to send messages to the consumers, if we can hit them when they're at a point of sale or about to be at a point of sale and let them know, hey, my newest magazine that I love has just hit the shelves, we want to be able to hit them at that moment where they're going to make a purchase, because there is still a big element of that sort of sense of urgency as it relates to trying to ensure that we get people at the moment they're going to make a decision, since we are an impulse purchase for many publishers. So MagFinder is a mobile-first application. There's also a desktop version. We're going to start with the mobile-first application because that's the most fun. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically take a magazine and I'm going to show you the basic usage. Basic usage is I'm looking for a magazine. I'll start with the most common magazine we all know in this country, People Magazine. We can type the name of the magazine in. It is using GPS results initially unless you decide to use a zip code or a postal code. That's perfectly fine. If you do use a postal code, know that you can use Canadian postal codes as well, because we do cover the United States and Canada. So when you search for a title, and you have your GPS on your phone turned on, it's going to bring you a set of information based on the title, and it's a wild search, so anything with the word people in the name is going to come up as a search result, and the associated covers, if Magnet does have a cover, it will come without it if we don't. And when you click on any one of these titles, what you'll notice is a couple of pieces of information. You'll notice that we have a cover price, we have the nearest location, again, based on your zip code that you typed in or based on your actual GPS location. So I'm located in Lake Worth, Florida right now. The nearest location where I can buy People Magazine is 0.29 miles from me. Well, that's great because People Magazine sold pretty much everywhere. MagFinder gets really interesting when there are titles that have a much more disparate distribution model or much more spread out rurally, so you can say, oh, I know that it's going to be at the store down the road 8 or 10 miles. That's where it becomes great for smaller publishers who say, I don't always know where it is, and I always want to give my consumers that information. So we also have a description that we've typed in. This is Magnet's description that we've gone in and manually typed on every magazine we can possibly come up with. If you are the publisher of any of the magazines in MagFinder, you're more than welcome to contact me and tell me, Josh, I want my title description to read X, and we'll happily make that up. We've gone to a lot of publisher websites and looked at some of the mission statements and media kits to come up with this. But we wanted to make sure that consumers who may not necessarily know of a magazine have the opportunity to learn about it. So we did give a description field as well. I'm going to click on People Magazine, and you can see what you get on the screen. You get the cover that we scanned. You get a description. You'll see that there's information about local locations where you can find People Magazine, tells you where the nearest one is, and gives you a couple of options. First one on the left is just take me to the nearest location. Option on the right says all locations. If I click on all locations, it's going to bring up a listing, and it's going to bring up a map. And what I can do is I can scroll through, and I can see all the different stores where People Magazine is sold near where I am located right now. It will also give me directions if I so desire. So when I click on this Target store, and I bring this Target store up on my phone, there's a Google Maps that comes up, and there's directions that come up. Now, one of the things that came to us from some of the user feedback was, it's great to be able to search for a title, but what if I want to know what's in a certain store at a certain time? So that's a great idea. So what we did was we built a store inventory search based on, again, the allocation information that we collect and the information that tells us whether or not it's been sold out. So if you look at the bottom of this Target store, there's a couple of different ways we can get to it, but instead of just searching for a title, we also have the opportunity to search for all publications in a specific store. So what you get is you get a categorical list just based on this Target store, which is shown at the very bottom of the screen. And I can come in here and I can type children's books, and here are the books that are available, or in theory should be available based on the allocations that went into those stores. Here's what should be in those stores right now. So I'm going to go back to the home page, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the additional functionality. As I mentioned earlier, we have the opportunity to search by title. We can search for a location near us, or we can search for a different remote location. So if instead of looking in Lake Worth, Florida, where I live right now, if I was looking for a title that was going to be available somewhere else, or I knew I was going to be traveling, or I wanted to check the availability where my parents live in the middle of New York City, wherever that happens to be, I can type in the name of a magazine. Let's just call it New Beauty for Beauty Magazine. And instead of having Find Near Me, I'm going to uncheck that box, and I'm going to put in a zip code in New York City, the most simplistic zip code to have to remember, 10001. And when I do that, it will now be searching. It will find New Beauty. And when I pull up New Beauty and I look at the locations, now I'm looking at all of the locations where New Beauty magazine is available in New York City. Moving on to more functionality and more fun. You'll notice that on each of the title screens, there's a few options towards the top. One of them says favorite, one of them says tweet, one of them says share, and I want to talk a little bit about what each of those mean. One of the things that we wanted to try to do was we wanted to make this a very inclusive application that people were sort of engaged with. We didn't want it to just be a one-way street. And the very beginning of that is just to ensure that customers who are using the application could share their finds with their friends either via Twitter or via Facebook, at least as a starting point. So what we did was we added Twitter share options as well as Facebook share options. You can also create an account optionally with MagFinder if you so choose. Why does somebody want to create an account with MagFinder? Well, the main reason is because if you create a login with MagFinder, and I'm just going to sign in with my Twitter account, what you end up with is the opportunity to share your experience with other people more easily, your friends, your Facebook followers. Also, you get the opportunity to get notified when a new issue of your favorite magazine goes on sale. As soon as that issue goes on sale, MagFinder will send you either a text and or an email letting you know that the issue of the magazine that you love is now available on shelves. It is opt-in, and you'll notice at the very bottom of this screen, once you put in your phone number, there's a validation system for your cell phone number, and then you have the opportunity to be notified either via email or via SMS text that your favorite magazine is available. You'll notice over here on my screen, I've got 3 favorites. Animal Tales, quite honestly, is not my personal favorite magazine, although some people, when they see me and they're demoing the app, they think, Josh, you love Animal Tales. It's not my favorite, but I don't hate it, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, it is used for my demos. So what happens is I have Us Weekly, Animal Tales, and Harris Farmer's Almanac shown here in my favorites list. This means that anytime any of these magazines come on sale, I will get a text or I will get an email when this issue comes on sale. So it's a really easy way for me to, again, engage customers and remind them of our magazines and make sure that we are continuing to be front and center with our customers. So a couple of more things as we get back to the home page. There are cases where we found where people actually don't know what they're looking for. They know that they're going to be, walking around the city. They're looking for something to maybe take on an airplane or a train ride. So we wanted to make sure it was possible is not only to look for a specific title that I know exists and I just maybe don't know where to find it, but we also wanted to have the opportunity to expand consumers' opportunities to find new magazines that they might not know are available. So we have an option to browse not only by store like I showed you earlier, but also to browse by category. So this gives you the opportunity to sort of look through and see what types of magazines are on the shelf. So if you wanted to say what kind of automotive magazines are there out there, this gives you the opportunity to scroll through and say, yep, oh, I didn't know that there was a DuPont registry, and there's one within a mile from here. That looks really interesting. It's a luxury lifestyle marketplace magazine. That's fantastic. And this gives us an opportunity to increase the sort of the availability of information for our consumers so that they know that we're on the newsstand and know we're available. I also wanted to make sure that I let you know of a couple of other pieces of functionality, and I know that I'm skipping around just a little bit, but there's just so much to cover in a quick hour. So if I click on Consumer Reports and I say, I want to find the Consumer Reports Auto Series and I want to find where it's available, and the map comes up, I want to point you out to something really interesting. If you look towards the top of where it says CVS Pharmacy, there's an option that says Distance. And you'll notice that it's defaulted to a 10-mile radius, but it can be expanded. We allow that to be expanded for some of the smaller publications who may not necessarily have that many stores available in any given geography. But at the same time, we don't necessarily want to have to load 400, 500, 1,000 stores onto somebody's cell phone if they do search for a magazine like Vogue, which is available pretty much everywhere around the country. And that's what you have the option to do here. The other thing that I wanted to share is that if you look on any of the pages throughout the application, there's an option that says Most Popular Magazines. This is filled by Magnet on a rotating basis based on category and based on location. These are top-selling magazines at the time you're using it. This is a really interesting piece of functionality because what we expect this to grow into as MagFinder continues to grow is we expect that this functionality will grow into more customized popularity title listings. So think of it in the future as not just what is everybody reading, but what are my friends reading? What are people similar to me reading? What are people around me geographically reading? If I'm reading the Beekman 1802 Almanac, what else might I want to consider reading? So we really see this as an opportunity to use some of the space within our cell phone screen to try to ensure that, again, we try to broaden our customers' horizons. I'm going to now hop over from the from the mobile version of MagFinder. I'm going to hop over to the desktop version because I want to show you how similar the application is, but I also want to make sure people see the opportunity to understand that it's not just mobile phones. There have been a lot of publishers who have contacted me since MagFinder started saying, hey, I'm not giving this out to my customers, but I'm using it internally for my customer service group because my customer service group continues to get phone calls from our customers asking where magazines are available. So what they do is they give it to their internal staff, and their internal staff can run the request and communicate with publishers. On the other hand, there are a lot of publishers who are integrating MagFinder either directly into their website or they're doing a push to MagFinder from their Facebook or Twitter. I will tell you that when 1802 Beekman Almanac came out a couple of weeks ago, on the first day that it was on sale, I believe it was the Friday of on sale about 2 weeks ago, the publisher contacted me and said, hey, how do I get on MagFinder? And I told him, you're already there. On the first day, he put a note out to his Facebook followers, and there were 2,300 people who visited MagFinder that day. He made another push last Friday and sent in 5,500 people all at once. So you actually can still bring customers to have interest in the newsstand. It can be done. And with a tool like MagFinder, it's very easy to do, it's very up-to-date, it's very fast, and it's very user-friendly. So we'll go through a little bit of the functionality on the web, which is essentially the same as we saw on the mobile, but we did want to have an experience that was a little bit friendlier than you can really cram into a screen on your cell phone. Again, we have the opportunity to type in a magazine, and I'm going to go with my friends at Beekman because I see them in my drop-down list already here, and I can choose to find locations near me, and there's my friends at Beekman 1802, and you'll notice that all of the locations come up. You'll notice that here on this map it shows me the blue dot of where I'm located right now, and then it shows me the locations that are available, the location that I've clicked on, and I can continue to move around. If I want to be taken there, I have the same directions information that comes up. The login screen works exactly the same. Sharing, tweeting, favoriting works exactly the same. You'll notice along the left side now we have a category listing, tries to make it easier to search for different magazines. A little bit more complicated to do on a cell phone because of the limited real estate, but again, when you're on a laptop or a desktop with a larger screen, the opportunity to show more information to the customer actually becomes a lot easier. Interestingly, if you take your laptop screen and you shrink your screen, it actually ends up looking just like the mobile device because it's basically the same application just sized for your device. So we can come in here and we can look for fishing titles, or we can look for bicycling titles. And again, all of it comes up quite quickly. And I can click on bicycle times, and I can see where I can find bicycle times. Back to the home screen. So I want to show you a couple of things that publishers have done with MagFinder to integrate MagFinder with their normal flow of magazine information that they communicate to their publishers. I'm going to take a screen here, and I'm going to show you the Cooking with Paula Deen website. And I want to show you what Paula Deen has done to integrate with MagFinder, just to try to give you an idea of how publishers are actually using MagFinder in a production environment. Again, it's totally free, so you can use it any way you want to try to drive newsstand sales. If you scroll down here on the Paula Deen website, it's the third or fourth box down, you'll see that there's an option right here, and it says Cooking with Paula Deen, find in a store near you with MagFinder. And when you click on that, it takes you right into MagFinder, and it takes you directly into the Paula Deen title page so that you can search for places to find Paula Deen. And because this information is updated every single day, this is the best place to find out where your magazines are located on newsstand at any given time for almost every store within the United States and Canada. I'll show you another publisher that integrated a little bit differently because I want to just give you some ideas of how a publisher can interface with MagFinder. And I believe we'll click on, let's see if we can find it. Would have been smart if I were to find it before we started here. And if I don't, that's okay. So features APPV, store AP events. I forgot where he put this. Basically, this publisher put a window inside of one of his pages on his website, so that it didn't take you outside of the application, outside of his website, and still allowed you the opportunity to search for his magazines. I can't find it at the moment. That's okay. But it just gives you an idea of how publishers are using MagFinder on their sites. Publishers are also using MagFinder within their Facebook posts and within their Twitter interaction with their customers. That's the basics of how MagFinder works. We've gotten a variety of different requests from different publishers over the past, 4 or 5 months about different changes, which we're trying to figure out what we'll be able to do and what we'll be able to integrate with the application. There's also a feedback form on the website and on the phone, which allows you to give us feedback if you happen to not find the magazine or it wasn't at the store that you were expecting to see it at. We do want that information because we do want to be able to communicate back with the wholesale distributors who are actually putting the magazines on the shelf, because if it's supposed to be in the store and it's not, we want to get that information communicated back to make sure that the availability of the magazines that are expected is there, as well as to ensure that if there really is a sellout, which would be a fantastic problem, that we get copies put back out there as soon as possible. That's the basics for MagFinder, and I guess I got through it in about a half an hour. I'm not going to take questions on the call today because the last time we tried to do this, it got a little bit wild with feedback on the phone and people who were not keeping their phone on mute. If you do have any questions, if you would like to know more, if you would like to ask something specific about how to use MagFinder in a production setting for your magazine, please let me know. The goal here is just to be able to create some positive buzz around our magazines, show consumers that we're a viable and we're a valuable channel for them, and we want to make sure that we give customers very, very quick information to be able to help them find our magazines and encourage them to buy when they're at the newsstand. If you have any questions, let me know, and I once again appreciate everybody's time and hope you have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye.